This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. The memorial for a Cameron police officer killed in the line of duty over a year ago was officially unveiled on Wednesday. The memorial at the Village Hall in Cameron honors Officer Hunter Scheel, who was killed alongside Chetek police officer Emily Breidenbach last year. The two were killed after conducting a high-risk traffic stop of Glenn Perry, who then shot at both Officer Scheel and Breidenbach, but was shot and killed as well during the incident. The memorial also honors Officer Scheel's service with the National Guard before joining the department. An arrest warrant has been issued for an Amory man accused of assaulting another man and pointing a gun at him in Barron County. According to court documents, 46-year-old Trevor Olson was charged with 2 felonies for threatening to injure someone and possession of methamphetamines as a repeat offender. He was also charged with misdemeanors for the alleged assault and disorderly conduct. Olson faces up to 6 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000 on the charges. Authorities have not yet taken him into custody. A recent report by the Center for American Progress found that gun violence is on the decline in Wisconsin this year. According to the report, the state saw nearly 17% fewer gun violence homicides through the first 8 months of 2024 compared to the same time frame in 2023. The city of Milwaukee in particular saw a nearly 20% drop in gun violence homicides over that time frame. Some officials credited programs like the Wisconsin Community Safety Fund grants for providing the resources to address gun violence. Superior first responders will be competing to raise money for the Salvation Army this weekend. It will be the first ever first responder Red Kettle Challenge in the city, pitting the Superior Fire Department against the police department to raise money for local residents who may be struggling during the holiday season. The departments will be at the Walmart in Superior from noon to 3 on Saturday, and the winning department will get a trophy and bragging rights for the next year. The Salvation Army is hoping to raise $100,000 this season. The Wisconsin State Supreme Court is poised to consider a case involving a conversion therapy ban. Governor Tony Evers and Attorney General Josh Kaul filed the lawsuit after the Republican-controlled state legislature blocked a rule that would have banned the controversial practice years ago, arguing that the move violated the state constitution's separation of powers clause. The state Supreme Court is expected to hear oral arguments on whether the state legislature overstepped their constitutional bounds in the case in mid-January. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers says he has selected a new secretary nominee for the Department of Natural Resources, but so far has not shared that person's name. The position has been vacant for over a year as Governor Evers and state Republicans spar over a number of his nominations. Earlier this year, over half of the Natural Resources Board was also kicked by the state Senate. Governor Evers says finding a suitable candidate has been difficult over fears that the Republican-controlled state Senate will again vote out his nominee. The Hayward Community School Board approved updates for their school safety plans and safety and security assessments for all their buildings earlier this week. According to school officials, the district's previous plans had been developed in 2014 with the help of funding from a safety grant. The recent updates to the plan address some of the new building additions and renovations made since then. Superintendent Craig Olson said the exact details of the safety plans would not be made public in the interest of maintaining student safety. More Barron County families will have gifts for their kids this holiday season after this week's Shop with a Cop event. According to the Barron County Sheriff's Office, 75 kids joined about 50 law enforcement officers at Walmart and Blaine's Farm and Fleet in Rice Lake this week to select gifts for their parents, siblings, and themselves. Each kid was given an allotment of $200 to shop with through the Law Enforcement Foundation of Barron County. The families invited to the event were selected with help from local school officials. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is sharing recycling tips to help residents save money and reduce waste during the holiday season. Along with the gifts at this time of year comes a lot of items like cardboard and batteries, which could cause issues at recycling facilities. Items like holiday light strings, plastic bags, and electronics should not be put in your recycling bin, and cardboard boxes should be fully flattened before going in the bin. Residents should check their local recycling programs if they're not sure about an item. The Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development's Workers' Compensation Advisory Council will be hosting a public meeting on proposed legislative changes next week. The council will host a public hearing on Tuesday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. in Madison, but residents from other areas of the state will be able to join virtually. The link to join the public meeting virtually can be found on the Department of Workforce Development's website. The Advisory Council is also accepting public comments on the legislation through January 10th. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
The Packers lose to the Lions. Hi from Ford Field in Detroit. I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Lions kicking a last-second field goal to win 34-31. It was a back-and-forth game all night. Detroit jumping out to a 17-7 lead. But in the second half, Keyshawn Nixon intercepted a Jared Goff pass, and the Packers offense scored to take the lead. Head coach Matt LaFleur.
Thought our guys did a good job coming out the second half, kind of getting the momentum by going down, scoring a touchdown, hitting the big play to Christian, then defensively getting the takeaway and converting that into points. But ultimately, I thought we just started, especially on the offensive side of the ball, too slow.
So the Packers are now 9-4, but running back Josh Jacobs, who scored 3 touchdowns, thinks they could face the Lions here in the postseason.
Yeah, we're going to see them again. We're going to see them again. That's the beauty of it all. You know, take these feelings, process them, and go back to work.
NBA, the Bucks are in Boston tonight to play the Celtics. College hoops, Marquette hosts Wisconsin tomorrow at 12:30. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Are you a fan of undead hordes? Listen up. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is offering a free trial of the game December 13th through the 20th for multiplayer and zombies. Not quite sure what that means, but they sure sound fun to pretend to shoot. The game will have new maps with names like Hacienda and Nuketown Holiday and feature new weapons. Activision says the game has already broken sales records in the first 30 days, and the free trial is expected to hike up profits even more. Things are really heating up on The Masked Singer. The quarterfinals are in the books, and Goo's identity has been revealed. It was LA Rams defensive tackle Kobe Turner. Jenny McCarthy guessed the identity of Goo, who narrowly lost to a character named Strawberry Shortcake. Folks, if you are not watching this show, drop everything you're doing and keep not watching. In Nothing to See Here news, superstar Taylor Swift was named the #1 most streamed artist on Spotify for 2024, according to Variety. That makes 2 years in a row for the pop icon. Swift songs pulled almost 27 billion streams. She was off to a good start when her album Tortured Poets Society racked up 300 million streams in one day and 1 billion in the first week. When playing a legendary character as the lead in a movie, it is probably a huge vote of confidence to get the person who you are portraying's endorsement. Timothy Chalamet plays Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. Dylan recently took to social media to say that he is sure that Chalamet will be completely believable in the role. If Dylan had actually said those words, it would have sounded like Chalamet. Chalamet is already getting Oscar buzz for his portrayal as Dylan. A Complete Unknown opens Christmas Day. Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie have a new show that they say will be as unforgettable as the first show they did together, called who cares? The duo is collaborating again for Peacock's new show, Paris and Nicole, The Encore. The short 3-episode series drops December 12th on Peacock. Following in the footsteps of Ross and Rachel, Barry Keoghan and Sabrina Carpenter are on a break after dating for a year due to rumors of infidelity on the part of Keoghan, who apparently has been hooking up with a TikToker, probably someone who got famous lip-syncing Carpenter's songs. The influencer's name is Becky Hill, and she has 4 million followers on OnlyFans, which is somehow 5 million more than I have. People assume infidelity is the reason they split, but maybe Carpenter finally saw Saltburn and hasn't stopped vomiting. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Partly to mostly cloudy today, and it will be a little warmer. We'll get to 26 for a high this afternoon. The wind west at 5 to 15. 18 tonight, partly to mostly cloudy. 40 tomorrow by Sunday, partly cloudy with a high of 43. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Temperature now at 19.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.